Well, howdy there, folks. This is your host, ID Jester. Thanks for checking out my video. So, world campaign. I get to ask that question a lot. How do you do a world campaign? What is world campaign creation like? How do you start? How do you do it? I've been asked that throughout my history of role-playing games, and was brought up again yesterday by a friend of mine. And I decided, maybe it's time because, that's what we do on my game channel. We do tutorial series. Maybe it's time to actually sit down and think about world campaign creation and make maybe a tutorial video series for people out there that have no idea or have little idea of what they want to do, what they're thinking about, what the processes are. And just kind of the insides and outs of world campaign creation. So I decided to go ahead and make a tutorial video series about world campaign creation and what is involved in that. So hopefully you'll enjoy this series. It's probably it's going to be very useful for those people that have never done it and are interested in doing it. But it'll also, I think, be a really good series for people that are in the process of maybe creating a world or have created a world in the past and they want to reanalyze their campaign worlds and look at it again. So hopefully people out there will enjoy this series and understand the process behind it once we go through the video series. And hopefully you learn a few things along the way, my ideas, my thoughts. Everybody's going to have different ideas and thoughts about world campaign creation. But let me just give you a little bit of my background. I've been playing Dungeons & Dragons specifically since 1983. So I've been playing for over 30 plus years. During these 30 plus years, I've probably only been a player a couple times and mostly done dungeon mastering. So I have spent many hours in campaign creation, world creation, stories, understanding the concepts behind all that. And in fact, throughout this video series, we're going to be using the world that I created in Neramos as a backdrop to kind of give you some information about how I did things. And sure, there's, like I said, a lot of people out there that have their own thoughts and ideas about what world campaign creation might be like. This is just my thoughts. You can agree with me, you can disagree with me, but hopefully throughout this you'll learn a few tricks, think about some stuff that I talk about, and hopefully get some more information out of it. I've played lots of different gaming systems out there. Not just Dungeons & Dragons, lots of different face-to-face games. I have done online gaming recently, probably started maybe 8 or 10 years ago with the online gaming stuff. I've helped many people create things online. I've done Roll20 as a campaign creation. You can see my videos here on this game channel. I've also used Fantasy Grounds. I'm in the process of using Sword Coast Legends as a campaign creation tool. Lots of different avenues to go, but there's still some general thoughts and ideas that I use for each of those different systems. So you have to really think to yourself exactly what you're going to try to get out of that. But we're going to look at that here as we analyze the important questions. So you want to create a world, do you? Well, let me tell you, there's a few questions that I'm going to ask you first before you even get into anything else. Why do you want to create a world? Why is it so important that you create your own world? The reason I ask you is there are already a ton of worlds that have been created out there. There is literally, if you go into Google and type in like Dungeons & Dragons campaign worlds, you can see this is just one of the links I went to, and you can see there is lots and lots and lots of different campaign worlds out there. So there is lots of people out there like yourself that are interested in world campaign creation. A lot of them have got processes started. They've been probably doing it for, like myself, I've probably been working on Neramos the better part of maybe 20 years or so. Maybe 15 to 20 years, I would say. And that's when I first started creating my world of Neramos. And you can see there is a ton of worlds out here that you could possibly use. So my question for you would be, oops, got to go back to the right page here. Why do you want to do it yourself when there's already tons of worlds created? The second part of that is you have to understand that this process is going to take tons and tons of effort and time. World campaign creation isn't a simple process. You are not going to be just putting a few towns and a few random dungeons and a few other things on a map. If you do that, you basically have created a map. You have not created a campaign world. There is a big difference between them. This process will take you tons and tons of time and effort to create a world. Keep that in mind, because I'm going to be saying that over and over again. I would say, literally, within my world of Neramos, I have probably put, I would say, a couple thousand hours of time and effort into creation of my world. There are, like I said, lots of worlds out there for you to investigate and look into, and you can save yourself a lot of time and effort. The other thing is, you should understand that there probably is only going to be maybe 20 to 30 people in the whole world that are going to likely see all the efforts that you are going to do. Through all my years of campaigning, I have run 5 different campaigns in the world of Neramos, between face-to-face and online. You have to realize that your world will probably only be seen by maybe 20 or 30 people if you spend a couple decades role-playing it. And it doesn't seem that all of your time and effort is going to be worth it. You will actually, if you get into that webpage I looked at earlier, the homebrew campaigns, a lot of these are basically dead. You can see people have given up, and I think a lot of them, rightfully so, realize that I don't want to spend the time and effort on this anymore. It's not getting me anything, and you know, the few people that actually do play in my world are, you know, there's very few people out there. A lot of people go into world campaign creation, and I'm just being brutally honest with you. A lot of people go in thinking that their world is going to be so special, everybody's going to love it, everybody's going to be just totally excited about it, that they're going to spread the word of your world, and pretty soon, you know, you're going to get on the top 10 most greatest worlds in the whole universe. And let me tell you, to be brutally honest, that's probably not going to happen. If we look back at Wizards of the Coast, probably 8 or 10 years ago, when they decided to do 3rd edition, they took submissions of worlds to add one to the 3rd, I believe it was 3rd or 3.5 edition, and I believe there was 10,000 submissions of different worlds that people put to Wizards of the Coast, and they finally ended up doing Eberron. So of all the 10,000 people that thought, oh my god, all this effort and work that I spent, I can finally get validation for it, I can finally have other people see it, I can finally have people live in my world and understand the background and the history and the places and the events and everything. Let me tell you, your world, to be brutally honest, has a very, very slim chance of ever reaching more than 20 or 30 people. So just keep that in mind. Why do you want to do this? All the things I've talked about. There's already tons of worlds out there. The process is going to take you, oh my god, time and effort like you will not believe it. And there's probably going to be 20 people that are likely ever going to see all of your efforts and time that you have put in. When you spend hundreds of hours creating and documenting and coming up with names and places and locations and everything. Very few people are even going to see this, and it depresses a lot of campaign creation people, and it kind of as I said, if you go through that web page that we talked about earlier, a lot of these are dead links. If you click on them, there's a lot of ones that, the last time they've been updated is 2012, 2014. Although, I should say there is a lot of really good worlds that are still out there. So people that are still dedicated to the world. So how dedicated are you going to be to your campaign creation? So that's kind of the first question you have to ask yourself is, why do you want to do this? The second question is, what is going to be the purpose of this game world? What is the purpose behind all of your time and effort? Is this for your face-to-face group? Is this for an online group? What is going to be the purpose of this world going to be? What is going to make your world so unique and different that you need to specifically create it? Why can you not use one of those other worlds that is already out there? What makes it so unique and interesting that you need to create it yourself? Is, like I said, if this is for your face-to-face group, and you guys as a local group decide that you want to have a campaign world that you guys are going to make up, or the DM's going to make up for everyone. Again, you have to realize that the only people that are probably ever going to see this world is the other people at the table, and maybe a few other people. That is it. There's not going to be a huge uproar for your world to become world famous. If you are doing this for an online group, the reason this is there is for you to think about this. As I mentioned, I have done some online gaming, quite a bit actually, of online DMing. And if you post that you are going to be running your own campaign world, you have taken half of the players out there that are willing to be part of your campaign, and you have basically killed them off. Half of the players out there do not want to run in a DM created world for various reasons. Some people like some specific worlds, like Eberron or the Forgotten Realms or Ravenloft or whatever. Maybe that's their favorite, and they don't want to go through the process of learning a brand new world, learning new locations, new people, new history. They don't want to do all that. They just want to go with what they know. So if you think that you're going to get on, create this wonderful world, plaster on the Roll20 system that, hey, I've got this brand new world, come and enjoy it with me. Basically, you're taking at least half of the players out of your decision about whether or not they're going to want to play with you. And again, what makes it so different and unique that makes you have to create it? Why is it that your world is something that needs to be seen by everyone? Why is it that your world is so different that you have to put the time and effort into it? Is there something that's going to make it unique and different? And the last question I want you to think to yourself is, what are you going to do with this world? Is this going to be a world that you're going to create for a one-time campaign? Is this going to be a world that you are going to use for the rest of your life, like I am with Neramos? Anytime I run a homebrewed game, it's going to be the same world. It's going to be Neramos. So I call it forever campaigns. Like I said, I've run 5 or 6 different, mostly face-to-face, online games with the world of Neramos. What are you going to do with this world? Are you going to write books and stories about it? Are you going to play it once? Are you going to play it many times? Are you going to create this world so you have a background to actually write books and stories about it? A lot of people might think, oh, wait a minute, that's kind of stupid and everything. Why would you even mention that? Well, let me tell you, it's actually not stupid whatsoever. And it's actually a viable reason. There's actually some, when I was looking for maps the other day, There was several maps that were out there that were basically maps of different worlds for different editors and different authors out there that wanted a world created based upon the series of books they're using. And in fact, I personally have come across someone exactly like that. Let me introduce you to R.T. Kalin here. I know him better as Ryan. There's Ryan. There's my buddy Ryan there. He actually came across me by responding to an online post that I had about looking for local face-to-face players, and we hooked up, and he came and joined our group, and we had lots and lots of sessions with him. He was a player for a while. He even decided to start DMing for a little while, and basically through all this he got his creative juices flowing, and he decided that he really what he wanted out of Dungeons and Dragons and role playing is basically he enjoyed the story part of it, and basically wanted to create his own world so that he could write his own stories from it. And as you can see, he has done that. He actually has several books out there now based upon his own world and his own creation. And so definitely, if you're into Dungeons and Dragons or fantasy settings and stuff, you might want to go to his website and check out his books. Very enjoyable series of books. And again, I'm not just bringing this up just because he happens to be an old friend of mine or anything like that. It just happens that he falls into what we talked about here with, why are you going to be spending all this time? What are you going to be doing with this world? There are lots of reasons why you might want to spend all this time and effort in creating a world. And one of the very viable options is to write stories and books, or to create this world so other people can write stories and books about your world. And definitely, like I said, it's come to fruition with me and one of my former players that actually came through, played a lot of D&D with us, and had a really good time. And he enjoyed the DM part and the storytelling part, and decided that that was what he wanted to do with his time. Unfortunately, because of what I say here, this process is going to take you tons of time and effort. Unfortunately for us, Ryan actually had to leave the D&D group because the process of him creating the world, creating his stories, and doing the whole process of editing all of his books and everything took so much of his time and effort that he wasn't able to continue playing with us, unfortunately for us. But we did have a really good time with him. He would, when he was DMing, he would write up the little short stories in between sessions that he would post to everyone, and that was a lot of fun to read from a DM's perspective, kind of the backstory about what was going on. So anyways, what are you going to do with this world once it is finally, you started working on it and you're spending all your time and effort on it? Is it going to be for a campaign? Is it going to be forever yours? Are you going to write stories or books? Or maybe there's another reason that I'm not really thinking about. But what I want you to get from all this information that I've been talking about is campaign world creation, story creation is a long and in-depth process that you will be using and doing for much of your time. And it is probably, if this is going to be something you are going to be dedicating to and you are going to spend a lot of time and effort, it is probably going to take you a long time to complete. And in fact, I don't think you'll ever complete it, because there will be areas in your world that you'll redesign, or areas of your world that you haven't got to yet. I've been working on Neremos for 15 or so years. I don't even know when I actually first started it. And I have just maybe gotten to maybe 35 to 40% of where I would like it to be if I was going to really dedicate a lot of time to it and effort. And you can see that if I actually go to my world, there's lots of online tools we're going to look at maybe in another episode here, but you can see there is just tons and tons of information that I have been processing through, and each of these links goes to many, you can see many different other links and everything. So it is going to be a rather large, complex endeavor on your part. So just I want everyone, before we even start this tutorial series, we start talking about things to think about when you're looking at world creation and what's involved in world creation, to realize what are you doing this for? Think to yourself, why am I creating this? Do I really need to create this? Is there something else out there? What is going to be the purpose of creating this? And also, what are you going to do with it once you have started it and started working on it? Once you have these three answers in your head, then maybe you have a better understanding about whether or not you actually do want to spend all the time and effort in creating this world that you will have out there. If you do, and probably a lot of people have already stopped listening to my campaign video already, and they probably decided, yeah, he's probably right, I don't need to worry about this, I'll just find some other campaign to use, and I don't want to spend a lot of time, or whatever the reasoning. Probably half the people stopped watching this recording. So for those of you who are still along for the ride, we're going to give a last little bit here in this first part, and I want you to think about world campaign creation for beginners. I want you to think about a lot of things, and let me tell you, a lot of world creation is basically thinking about things and then putting them down in writing, thinking about how things interact. So a lot of the things, when we're talking about world campaign creation, again, we're not talking about map creation. This is not the process of just taking a map, throwing a couple towns on it, throwing a couple dungeons and a couple kingdoms and whatever down on a map, and then saying, there, I've got a world all ready to go. That isn't world creation. World creation, you have to think about the big picture, about just about every little thing that you have to think about for what's in our actual world. So we have to think about the Pantheon of the gods. How are your gods? Are you going to use the default gods? Are you going to use a set of gods from Faerun? Are you going to create your own pantheons for the gods? What is going to be the basis for the gods? Because as we know, clerics and healing are a very important part in any D&D fantasy setting, and you should have these questions and start thinking about them for if your players ever have a question about them. Where'd my gods come from? Or, how do I get my power from the gods? So, pantheons and the gods. Political organizations within the world. What kind of political organizations are there within your world? Are there some for good? Are there some for evil? Are there some secret? Are there some for some specific races? Are there some for some specific classes? How does everything... Are all the fighters part of a political organization? Are all the mages part of a secret cult? Things you need to think about. One of the most important things, and I can't stress this enough, is the history of your world. History of the world. How did the world get made? How did the citizens on the world think the world was made? Do they have contact with the history? Is there written words on books from thousands of years ago? Or did they just start learning to write down their words recently, and so they don't know much of the history? Only what is told from word of mouth. How did your continents form? How did these dungeons and ruins and everything else you're putting on the map, how did they get created? If there was a kingdom there a long time ago that was wiped out, That maybe that's why all those ruins are there, or those old dungeons, or whatever. History of the world is very important because you want to get your players, again, if you're spending all of this time and effort into this world, then you want to get something out of it. You want the 20 people that are going to see all this effort, you want them to get something out of it. If they don't have a history of the world, if they don't have a pantheon, if they don't have special political organizations, then they're not going to feel like they're part of a living world. They're just part of a map. They're just part of a piece of paper. So history of the world. Magic within your world. Is your world full of magic? Is it very rare? How do people feel about magic? Is it something to be feared? Is it something to be honored? Is it common? Is it uncommon? Is it, if it's just like every other world out there? Again, let's say Pantheons and the gods. You say to yourself, no, I'm not going to create gods. I'll just use the Faerun gods. Political organizations, well, I don't know about that. History of the world, I don't know about that. Magic, I'm just going to use what Faerun uses. If you're not going to go through all these steps and figure this out for your world, then you don't need to create a world. You do not need to be spending your time and effort trying to create a world. So how is magic within your world? You got to start thinking about the important people and groups of your world. Are there kings, powerful kings? Are there powerful groups that run different areas of your world? How is your world basically separated in, between people and between races and between classes? You got to think about different places, whether they're important or not important. You're going to have to create these places throughout your world, whether they're important or not. So again, a lot of your time and effort is going to be spent doing things that are going to be maybe never ever come across by your players. Talk about miscellaneous events and miscellaneous places that you have to think about. How were things 100 years ago in your world? How were things 200 years ago? How were they 500 years ago? How were they 2,000 years ago? You have to think about these things when you're talking about world campaign creation. And lastly, and this is probably, along with the history of your world, probably the most important part that I can probably talk to you about, is the mechanics of your world. What separates your world from every other fantasy world out there? What's the mechanics of your world that is involved? I'm going to help you think about these things next episode when we go over some of these things, when we talk about my world of Neramos and what my thought process behind what I was thinking about and how I came up with certain things. But the mechanics of the world, this is basically what's going to separate your world from every other fantasy world out there. So again, we've already got a ton created, and this is going to take us a lot of time and effort. So something has to be unique and different in your world that wants you to make it be created, and that's going to be the mechanics of the world. What is going to be different? Are there no dwarves in your world? Or is there a relationship between certain races of the world? The timeline of your world, is there something else? And I'm not going to give you suggestions right now, because I want you to think of these things without me giving you suggestions. But mechanics of the world, does magic act differently in your world at certain times of the day or the week or the month or the year? Do certain things happen on your world that would not work on other worlds? If we just look at Eberron as a slight example here, talk about mechanics of the world. Obviously we have different races with shifters and warforged. We have different places in the world that are unlike other places. I'm not a big Eberron guy, so I don't know a lot of them. I know there's the one ruined lands that had the fireballs that roll around in the ground. There is what we're talking about when we're talking about mechanics of the world. Eberron is different because of the mechanics that are going on in the world. It's not because they have different city names and different city places and different people's names that do the same thing. There has to be something in your world that makes it different and unique than every other world out there for fantasy settings. So I want you to think about these things: the pantheons and the gods, the political organizations, the history of the world, magic within your world, important people and groups, places, miscellaneous events, and then of course the mechanics of the world. And this is going to help start thinking about and shaping how your world is going to come. So that's it for part 1 of the World Campaign Creation for Beginners. Yes, I am basically just going to give you the facts as I see them. Try to let those people out there that know that they want to create a world, that I'm here to help you do that. But I want you to make sure you understand the process and the importance of the undertaking that you are going to be doing, because the life as you know it is going to change if you decide to do world creation, because a lot of your extra time and effort isn't going to be playing, going out and playing sports. It's not going to be sitting around watching the football games. You're going to be sitting down typing and putting all of this imagination of this world into words on a page that you'll be able to see and create. So think about that. Hopefully you enjoyed part 1. I know it was kind of a downer, but I'm just trying to give it to you the way I see it, and hopefully you'll use this as a basis for the next video to come shortly. So thanks so much. I'm always looking for thoughts and comments, so be sure to leave yours below, and hopefully we can get some good world campaign creation information out to you guys. Thanks so much for watching. See you guys next time.